the general purpose of my essay is to enhance your guys' knowledge on the history of American football. Did you know that the origins of football can be traced back to the 12th century? When it began in the 12th century, it was the Greek people started it as just a fun game to play. And back then the rules are much simpler than what they are now. Basically just you get points if you cross a goal line. I mean, that's kind of how it is now, but back then you could either run a ball across the goal line, throw it, or pass it to one of your teammates there. And so basically, once you get the points across, you get 7 points, much like it is now, but to that in a second here. There are no specific lengths for the field, and there are no boundaries, so I mean, throughout the Greek land, anyone can play it, and it doesn't really matter how big the field is. There were no organized sports until the mid-1800s, and I've done much research on the history of it, so I'm credible to get your information from, and I'm very passionate about the topic, so that also. And American football has attracted millions of fans, and not many people are weary of how the story of it came to be. So in the early 1800s, this is when organized football really took shape. It started with the name of just associated football, but they changed the name to soccer so it was easier for people to understand. 6 schools that started it there were 6 British public schools, and a few of their names, it was like Eton and Weatherbury, Winchester. These are just a few of the schools that started it. And there was a 7th school, but they kind of changed the rules a little bit, and actually that was how rugby came to be, because the name was Rugby School, so that's kind of a different story though. And in the 1800s, the rules were a lot different. Many of them were complex rules we kind of made up on the go, and those mainly came in the early 1900s and late 1800s. The first ever game of organized football was Eton versus Winchester, and the score is unknown. One of the first notable players was Walter Camp. He wasn't of this first league, but he was one of the earliest players people heard of. And the first championship game occurred in the Intercollegiate League. This was actually in America, and Yale and Rutgers were believed to have been the first game, and the score is also not known for this one. The birth date of football in America is November 6, 1869. Originally, there are 20 people on the field instead of the traditional traditional 11, and many schools started to ban it because it was so dangerous. So they slowly improved their equipment and changed the rules to make it a lot less dangerous. And in 1869, this is about the time Walter Camp came around, and he was actually the person who insisted they change the number to 11 people instead of 15. So in conclusion, basically, just the rules of the game have changed much since it started, as well as how you play it. And it started in about 1800, and the rules have changed every year since. And 1869 was when it transitioned to American football. And this is how the sport of American football came to be.